How to activate your power to get what you truly desire. This is our webinar that's leading to our workshop for next Tuesday. For those of you on the recording, you will just have to look for the next workshop that's coming up. But what we're going to show you today is hopefully going to be really mind-blowing. If you already know it, it'll still be really cool. Okay, so we are Bralynn, Newby, and Gil Hodges, and we are Spirit-Centered Business. And so what is Spirit-Centered Business? These are the three tenets of it: alignment, access, and impact. So alignment, it's basically three alignments: aligning your head and your heart, your intellect and your passion, aligning with God and His plan for you, a vertical alignment, and then horizontally aligning with the universe, how the universe is made, and with others. Access is the new piece that I'm so excited about, because we now have technologies that we understand how to access the spiritual realm more than when I first launched Spirit-Centered Business 5 years ago. Well, I understand it more. So that piece is so really cool, because now we have access to wisdom and resources and strategy and understanding and angelic help and so much more that we haven't even tapped into yet. So learning how to do that for our business is huge. And then the impact. Because you are not here by accident. You didn't create your business by accident. You are designed to have an impact in your culture, in your metron of influence, and on the world with your business. Your destiny can be worked out through your business, and that's the impact that you're designed to have. And so we want to give you practical strategies and really useful tools to work in your business so that you can have that impact. So that's what Spirit-Centered Business is all about. We have workshops, the Academy, and a membership. Some of you on right now are part of our membership. And this webinar is leading to one of our workshops. We also have a boot camp coming up that we haven't mentioned. I need to get that on this slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I'm excited about that. It'll be in August in the Sacramento area. Possibly we can live stream. And we're going to talk about membership. I always like it when I get surprised by my slides. So our membership includes business training and exercises, mindset, emotional intelligence, communication, online and offline marketing, all different kinds of topics we discuss and we train on, and we find out what things you need, and we mastermind on them, and most importantly, we access the spirit realm about these issues, which is so cool. And of course, you can go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com/member, or just click the member button, member or membership button, and you can get that there. We'll be talking more about that later. So the greatest principle, where is my book? Here is my book. In the book, The Love Code by Dr. Alexander Lloyd, he talks about the greatest principle. So I want to talk to you about my story about finding the greatest principle.
Hey, Bralynn, I just want to ask you a quick question to
Yes.
Jake and Janet. We've talked about this book quite often. I'm just curious, have either one of you ordered it? I would certainly encourage you to order it, but also just know that as we're going through it, we're adapting it for what we're doing in the heavens. But I would encourage you to go ahead and get the book, because it's got some phenomenal information in it, and Bralynn's going to continue sharing some of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So have you ever gone through seasons in your life where you didn't even recognize your life? You're like, this is not what I planned. Everything is wrong. It's just not what I thought my life was going to turn out to be, right? Or have you gone through a period where things happen and it just keeps happening, and you think you're going to come up for air, and all of a sudden another wave takes you out and crashes you down? Well, for me, every 6 weeks, I had to, for about 2.5 years, I had to have neuroinhibitors pumped into my body intravenously for chronic pain. And it was draining and fatiguing, as you can imagine. But what scared me the most was that I was actually losing my mind. The cognitive processing of my synapses were literally not firing on all cylinders. And occasionally, like when I was driving on autopilot, has anyone else driven on autopilot? Like you drive to somewhere and then you don't recognize, like you don't remember that you turned at the landmark that you turn at every single time. You think, did I even do that? Well, I think everyone has that autopilot experience, right? But for me, even when I got to my destination, I would have a panic attack because I wouldn't know where I was. And one time I actually walked out of a restroom in a store and I could not remember where I was. I stepped out and I thought, where the heck am I? I looked up, okay, I saw a Walmart sign. So at least I knew I was in Walmart, right? But I just could not remember. I walked out the front door and looked at the parking lot to see if I could remember even what city I was in. And it did not look familiar to me. I walked back into the entrance and my panic was rising and I was trying to fight it. And I thought, I do not remember driving here. How did I get here? And I was just about to walk back into the bathroom to see if that would trigger my memory. And I saw my friend at the checkout line and then it came back to me. But it was a terrifying experience. And I can't even describe when you can't even think straight what is going on. The panic just overtakes everything. So what was going on with my body and my mind was that it was a result of stress over a long period of time. You see, I was holding the belief that I shouldn't be going through a divorce. That was wrong. I should be able to work. What's wrong with me? I should be living in my beautiful home on the golf course instead of staying on friends' couches. No, that was just wrong. I should be able to hike and bike and travel the world like I used to, and sitting home resting and being almost financially destitute was absolutely wrong. It was not what I planned on. My life should be different. Well, the problem with all of this shooting on myself is that I was holding the belief like a training wheels belief. And it's actually what 90% of Americans operate on. And so we're going to talk about what that training wheels is as soon as we get going here. So even if you don't join us for the webinar or you don't work with us any further, the things that I want you to come away from this webinar are the blueprint. I want you to understand the blueprint for failure that we've all been programmed with, the truth about our power and our desires, and number 3, flipping your switch to success in every area of your life. Because I learned that from my study of going through the book, through my study with Caroline Leaf, and through the access of the heavenly realms that we're going to be talking about. And I want that for you too. So first of all, the blueprint for failure. Has anyone ever done any self-help work? Right? It's a $10 billion industry. Crazy. Well, why is it a $10 billion industry? It's because the same people who buy the weight loss books this year are the same people who bought them last year, because it doesn't work. And the dirty little secret is that it actually has a 97% failure rate.
You know, it's almost like a cult, because a cult will keep you in circular reasoning to keep you stuck in that system. And the self-help industry is one that, I mean, I was fully engaged with it for at least 15 years and constantly going back because wanting more, needing more, wanting more, needing more. And like it says here, 97% of the time it fails. And I'll share more of my story probably in the workshop that we do Tuesday.
Sure. Yeah, and this actually is a book Brian Clemmer wrote. If how-tos were enough, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy, right? Because nothing is a solution that works for everything. It's because we're talking about this blueprint for failure, which is number one, decide what you want. Number two, make a plan to get it. And number three, work the plan. And if you don't get it, work the plan harder. Maybe tweak the plan and then work that harder. Work it longer and tweak the plan again. Work the plan harder. Work the plan longer. You're not working the plan enough. You know? Oh my gosh. And has anybody else been on that hamster wheel? Oh my, me?
Oh yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, the problem is that it makes sense. That is exactly how we're wired from little kids. It's how we're designed literally in our brain, because it's a stimulus response wiring that we have. It's also what you see everyone else doing. It's what's been modeled from our parents and our peers and our teachers. And it's what the quote unquote experts have been teaching us for nearly 70 years. Of course it makes sense. But the problem is that it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Exactly. We're going to get into what does work in a little bit. But here is the truth about our power. Remember, the name of this is activating our power to get what we truly desire. So here's the truth about our power. And Gil, I'm going to stop sharing, and I would love you to play this video for us, because you can play it better with your system.
Well, and then this is something we have played before at different points, but anyway, just enjoy it, listen to it and enjoy the frequencies. Everything on here, this video is real, so everything on here is not a faked anything, with cinematic photography or anything. It's actually the frequencies and the vibrations affecting certain types of matter. So let me make sure I can get this going here.
Yeah, of all the times I see this video, I just love it. So you're going to love it too.
Everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Oh my gosh, I love that video. Yeah, so that is the truth about our power. We are little powerhouses. We have that vibration, right? Let me come back to sharing my screen here. Let's see. Excellent. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to escape out of the presentation, move to the next slide, and put the presentation back on. There we go. So what are our bodies? Our bodies are that matter, right? You saw that everything, how it was affecting the matter. Well, our bodies are actually mostly water too. Did you see what it was doing to that water?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy. So what are our thoughts? Our thoughts are the frequencies. Our thoughts exist in the spirit realm, and everything that exists in the physical realm was first a thought, because it existed in the spirit realm first before it came into the physical realm. And so I love what Nikola Tesla said almost 100 years ago. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That is our true power. And I've done research with Caroline Leaf. These are articles that I've written in Megamorphosis magazine, and I actually did this 21-day brain detox that she talks about in Switch on Your Brain, where she talks about how our mind, our thoughts that exist in the spirit realm, literally create the physical matter of our neural pathways in our brain. So thoughts create things. Like our brain is just like a piece of meat. I mean, you know, not really, but you know what I mean. It's like a thing, right? But our mind exists in the spirit realm, and it creates the neural pathways in our brain. It creates the architecture of our brain. She also says nothing in our physical genetic makeup is created or wired for any sort of negativity. So anything that's negative in our life only exists in our mind, in our programming. Here's yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add one little thing here, because it's interesting with what you're talking about and what we're teaching at Kingdom Equipping Center at the same time, because we're talking about that we are surrounded by light, the light is in us, and yet we can still choose to live in darkness. And so when you were just sharing about that, the fact that the negativity only exists in our mind, where we have allowed and chosen to have this darkness override the light that the Father wants to give us. So again, it's actually breaking off the lies so that we can step into the truth and the light.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
That's a really good thing. Good way to put it. So this is I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but this is a quick scale of the higher frequencies and lower frequencies. And these have been tested. This is David Hawkins, and it's his scale. So you can look at the top, and the higher frequencies are love, peace, and joy. And at the bottom, you see fear and guilt and shame, lack, those kinds of things. So here is this greatest principle that I talked about in the Love Code. Virtually every problem or lack of success comes from an internal state of fear in some form. And every internal state of fear results from a deficit of love in relation to that particular issue. And so on that scale, when you're living in the fear in the lower frequencies, it's only because there's an absence of love. Because once their love is there, the fear can't exist. We'll get into a little bit more of that later. So yeah, so here is the truth about our desires. What do you truly desire in your life right now? And well, I guess we'll talk about this a little later, between the difference between desires and goals, and which Gil and I have come to a different realization than the book. So this is why it's beyond the book. But what do you truly desire in your life right now? And some of the things that I have taught this in person into groups, and some of the things might be, if I had a certain amount of money, right? Or if I had my family relationships straightened out. I have a daughter who's planning a wedding right now, and so there's a lot of conflict going on with the in-law family and everybody trying to influence what they truly, with how they want their wedding. So one of her texts to me was, I just want my family to be straightened out. Right? So what do you truly desire right now? And then if you got what you most wanted in question 1, what would it change in your life? Like, what would the certain amount of money change in your life?
Yeah, so this is actually a question. If you guys want to answer it, it'd be awesome to hear your feedback on this.
Yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat, right? Yep.
But in the
And
meantime, I was just thinking about desire, and again, we're going to get much deeper into this on the workshop on Tuesday. But that, it talks about in Scripture how the word of the Lord goes out and it does not return void. I actually believe that the divine that we partake in, that is a great deal of that is our desire, and that when we are seated in our throne in heaven and we know exactly who we are, that desire operates in the same way, that the desire goes out in the moment. It's about the now. It goes out in the moment, but it goes out in order to accomplish something and bring something back, and it does not return void. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So Gil, I can't see the chat right now while I'm sharing my screen. Can you see?
Nothing yet. So go ahead.
Okay.
And if anything
So
comes up, I'll let you know.
Okay, so some of the things that I've gotten in other groups are, what would it change in your life? Well, if I had, all the money, that I wouldn't have to worry about paying bills. I wouldn't have that stress. I wouldn't, or if the family were not fighting all the time, then I would get my way, right? So here is the next question. Well, if you got what you truly desired right now, how would you feel? So I would submit to you that what you would feel would be peace or joy or love.
Yeah.
And so that is the truth about your desire. Oopsie, is that it can't be an external thing. It's actually that feeling. That's the truth about your desire, right?
That external thing is potentially always out of your reach, or you're potentially always trying to get more of it if it's external, versus being filled with it and being complete.
Right. And you know what? Here's the thing, is that sometimes there's that hope and the striving and the working that plan and, all of that stuff. And then when you do get that external thing, you're like, is this all there is?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be different.
And
I know that I've done that myself.
Yeah, I've done it as well, because I had a business where, I made 1.2 million a year, and it was good. It was really good. But I remember specifically telling my wife, it's like, I feel more fulfilled working in the ministry and helping other people than I do making all this money. It still had that empty spot. It wasn't truly what I was looking for. I was trying to get some satisfaction in there, but what I had missed was understanding that I am love, joy, and peace. Mm-hmm. And that the love, joy, and peace comes in doing what I'm created to do, versus doing something just to make money because the world says we need money for everything. Money's great. I have nothing against it. I would love to have more of it, because we can sow into the kingdom that way. But if it's a choice, I am going to do what I'm called to do versus going out and just making a lot of money. So that's part of it, is learning to do what you're called to do. And then that will bring the funds that you need in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Right, exactly. So the 3-step blueprint for failure. From a clinical perspective, virtually every problem in your life comes from this formula, because it creates the stress. It creates that stress that, like, I was feeling in my body and my mind because of that formula. I had it set that this was the plan, And I wasn't either able to work it, or I was working it and it wasn't working. So that created the stress. So here's the key, is our switch on success or on failure? And so here is the hypothalamus is actually our switch in our brain. And the clinical part of it, for the science geeks like me, cortisol is released in a stress response to internal fear. Remember that operating in those lower levels, fear, shame, guilt. It dumbs us down, makes us sick, drains our energy, suppresses our immune system. Who says my allergies are kicking in? It's like, why would you choose that, my allergies, and say that? And, some people have their cold season. Like, God only created 4 seasons. He did not create the flu season, whatever. Increases our pain, reduces our blood pressure, or raises our blood pressure, destroys relationships, causes fear, anger, depression, confusion, shame, and self-worth and identity issues, and causes us to do everything in our lives from a negative perspective. Now, coming back to spirit-centered business, how do you think a negative perspective is going to affect your business? If you go on a sales call and you say, no one wants to buy from me, I'm never going to do this, I'm not good enough, I don't have the right pitch, I'm not qualified enough, someone else should be doing this, comparing myself to Joe Blow, all of these negative things, how is that going to affect your business? It's not going to be good, because you're operating in that lower frequency, and you attract to you what you're operating in. So literally putting the blueprint into action is based on willpower, and that is the problem. We want to try to get willpower out of the equation. So this is what I say, is that willpower is striving, and striving in performance will kill any chance of soaring in passion. But soaring in passion will effortlessly up-level any performance. So while striving in performance will kill the soaring in passion doesn't kill performance. It up-levels it. So it's not exactly
good.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So here's the good news. It's not your fault. It's in our programming. Remember what I said in the beginning, is that we're wired this way. We're literally programmed to do it. But because it's in our programming, we can do something about it. Remember what Caroline Leaf said, nothing in our physical being is wired to be this way. It's our programming, and therefore, just like a computer hard drive, we can remove that virus. We can upgrade the programming. We can change out the programming. We can manipulate it. It's not in our body. But that's a good news. Good news to me anyway. Right? Bruce Lipton said our non-conscious mind, which is subconscious and unconscious together, is literally 1,000,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind, where our willpower resides. So if you think about it, when you're trying with this little bit up here to overpower this big piece down here, that is never going to happen. You might affect it down to like this water line right there, but you're never going to get to the deeper issues of your life and why things keep happening over and over, why the stress in your life is raising up, why the stress in your life has created negative problems in your body or in your relationships or in your business. Never going to get there. The tools you need to succeed or to be successful in your life must address this non-conscious mind, not the conscious mind as willpower alone does. And that is a quote from this book. But here's the problem, is that we've never been taught to stop using our training wheels. 90% of Americans operate in these training wheels like I was. So this is what we were thinking, or this is what you think as a child up till about age 6 or 8 or so. Pleasure equals good and pain equals bad. But in our cognitive adult thinking, we know We know that pleasure is not always good and pain is not always bad. And in fact, it requires the pain of having a problem that creates the ingenuity and innovation and creativity to solve it. So if you didn't have that pain of the problem, you wouldn't have created the solution that can move us forward in our life. You know, we're not living in horse and buggy times. We're not living in caveman days. Everything comes from the pain of the problem that creates the solution that moves us forward and moves us better. So we know this cognitively as adults, but we haven't really reprogrammed ourselves. You know, we haven't actually turned it off yet, and that's what we need to do. So, flipping our switch to success. The hypothalamus switch to success, and this is the clinical, is the oxytocin released as a response to the internal love state, which, of course, if you're in an internal love state, the fear cannot exist. It stimulates higher neurological activity. This is your creativity, your ideas and inventions and things like that in your business. Promotes healing, stimulates non-stress energy, modulates appetite, healthy digestion and metabolism, stimulates relaxation, lowers blood pressure, increases immune function, increases trust and wise judgment. Do you think that's important in business? Enhances relationships and results in the love, peace, and joy which was your true desire in the first place. So that is what we need to do, is flip that switch to success.
Amen.
Yeah, exactly. From our pastor friend over there, we get an amen.
Hallelujah.
Oh, great, and hallelujah. All right. So this is what made me think I'm going to actually, first of all, read the rest of the book, and then second of all, study it and put it into practice, is because he has seen a 97% success rate over 25 years of research and clinical practice. And I just want to read this to you because it's very, very powerful. Because this process is the alignment of true science and true spirituality, your success with it does not depend on your worldview, your demographic, or whether you even believe the love code itself. You just have to do it. In the 25 years I've been teaching it privately, I've seen it work in virtually every time for people of every worldview and any and all demographics that you can imagine. My practice is one of the largest in the world now. We're in 50 states as well as 158 countries and counting. Out of all of these clients, I can count on my two hands the number of clients who did not have their perfect success created for them. They were only in two groups. One, those who just wouldn't work the process for whatever reason. And number two, those who wouldn't even try the process because they disagreed with the philosophical principles. Everyone else I knew has been successful. And that's what I want for you guys too. So, guess what? One of the most popular ideas right now, and I'm still reading, is that you have to believe it to achieve it. That's not true here. You don't have to believe it works or believe anything I say. But if it is done exactly the way we show you and teach you, it will transform personal relationships, the source of physical and emotional health symptoms, and yes, material wealth and circumstances. And that, Gil, that is what blew me away, and that is why I decided to try it, is because of that success rate.
And that, and that is a key, which is interesting, that there are certain things out there that whether you believe it or not, it's going to work. But at the same time, in many of those cases, there are certain things that have to be followed almost to the T in order to get them to work out perfectly. And so what I believe is with this book, we're getting principles that we know work, and we can see that they work through him. And yet we're also adding to it the heavenly perspective, which opens up a whole new infinite realm, which I'm excited to get into all that. So go ahead.
I know, I am too. And we're going to be doing a lot more in the workshop on Tuesday. That'll be fun. So how do we flip our switch to success and change our frequency without willpower? Well, getting what you truly desire requires a leap of faith. So it does require something of you. It's not just like wave a magic wand. You must give up that external end result you thought you wanted most. And you must reprogram your internal state from fear to love. But here's the good news, is that the reprogramming can be done in baby steps. And here's the thing, you must focus only on creating the internal state that is the power source of your external circumstances. So one of the keys of that, one of the keys is living in the present moment. So like I said, it's not a magic wand. You do have to be mindful of what you're doing, but it can happen. And once you are reprogrammed, activating our power becomes who we are, not something that we do. And that is the brilliance, and that is that 97% success rate. It's because we don't have to strive anymore. We don't have to create a plan and work the plan and, all of that whole blueprint for failure thing. It's just who we are. And we're always growing, right? We're always increasing. No one is perfect. Because our frequency is naturally raised by living in love, we attract to us all that we desire effortlessly. And here are these baby steps. Number one, you have to live in the present moment. Now, I've gotten to a point where I can pretty much do this. I tend to be more of a what about the future person. And I know some people who are, but I did this in the past, or this happened to me in the past. This is what my experience is. And then I know more people who are, well, what if this happens? And I know I'm okay that right now, but what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if that happens to that person? And all of this stuff. So you have to let all of that go. That's a conscious shedding that you need to do, and live in that present moment. And for the next 30 minutes, do whatever you do from an inward state of love. Now, let me tell you this. 30 minutes can seem like an eternity when you're triggered, right? So go do it for 5. Do it for 1. Do it for as long as you can in the moment, and then reset. Okay, I can do it for 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes until that triggering is reduced. And I can tell you it works. It's cumulative. Like as you do this and then do it again and then do it again, it becomes easier. And the check-in times, I love the way Caroline Leaf does the 21-day brain detox, is you just check in, see how your brain is doing, check in with your body, see if you're really operating in the love or not. If you're feeling an anxiety, okay, check in with that. Okay, why am I feeling an anxiety? What is the belief that I'm holding right now, or the story that I'm telling myself that's triggering an anxiety or a fear or a remorse or a hatred or whatever that negativity is? Just check in with yourself. And that's how you can do this baby steps of flipping that switch.
I was just going to add real quick that it's funny because what you were talking about are strongholds, stories that we tell ourselves, belief systems that we hold that are anti-biblical, anti-love, which causes
coping
anxiety.
mechanisms.
Yeah, anxiety, that cause anxiety and stress. And yet sometimes here's a small key. It might be a big key for some of you, but Justin Abraham talks about, getting whacked, getting drunk in the spirit, in order to get over those walls that we have created. And so, hopefully you're open to that. Hopefully you're open to letting the Holy Spirit just take you and do what he wants to with you. But just allowing the Spirit of God to take over for a little bit so that he can get over those walls and begin to break them down and disintegrate those so that they are no longer barriers between you and the truth.
Yeah, and Gil, sometimes that's hard because it's a vulnerability that we have to open ourselves up to and surrender to the process.
Absolutely.
We have to let go. those external goals that we have, it's hard sometimes to let go. And it's hard to let go of the belief system that we've had all of our lives that's so deeply programmed.
I'm thinking that we
But it
may
can
have
be
to have
done.
we may have to have a workshop where maybe we just call it the Get Whacked workshop.
Well, actually, let's do that in our membership calls.
We may
For
do
the
it. Yeah.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
members, we meet on the first and third Thursdays, and we could do those kinds of things in those membership calls, because we do, we tackle whatever's going on, and then we see what God Father wants for us. So yeah, that's a great suggestion, Gil. I'm glad you're on our team. So my desire for you, remember in the beginning, number one, that you understand the blueprint for failure that we've all been programmed with. Hope you do by now. Number two, knowing the truth about our power. It's about our frequency, right? That's our power. And the truth about our desires, that they're always an internal state and not an external circumstance. And now you know how to practice flipping your switch to success in every area of your life. And here's the good news. You don't have to try to reprogram your non-conscious alone. Guess what? Gil and I are here for you. We're going to be doing a workshop. And we also will work with you continuously if you're in the membership. So the frequency of your desire online workshop, it's going to be next Tuesday, the 25th at 2 p.m. And of course, if you're listening to this recording, you can always go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com and look at when the next workshop is going to be. I want to put that in there in case you're after the fact. And spiritcenteredbusiness.com. Go to there, and specifically for this workshop, it's desire-workshop. And this is what we're going to cover. The 3 simple tools to reprogram your internal hard drive. And these 3 tools are, we start with the love code, and then we go beyond that. We have some special secret sauce that we put on that too. Right. And then how to diagnose fear-based programming, because this is one of the problems, is that we don't know what we don't know. And so the diagnostics of this is important. And then number 3, how to set success goals rather than stress goals. And Gil and I have a different take on the language than what's in this book. So we do recommend getting the book, but this workshop and what we're going to be doing in the membership and in the boot camp goes beyond this book. We have a lot more resources, physical resources and spiritual resources than this. So, okay, we already... There you go with your amens again. Hallelujah. I think that's what you guys say. Anyway, we talked about membership. Oh, this is the cool thing. We have an introductory offer for membership. It's only $14.97 a month instead of the $37 a month when you just join the Desire Workshop. And of course, that's at spiritcenteredbusiness.com/member to come and join. And again, like I said, this is where we get to know each other. We come together as a community twice a month on the first and third Thursdays, and we have this call. I know some of you have been on these calls because you are members, and those of you who want to become members, I want to encourage you that this is the place where, when you're struggling in your business and you don't know where to turn, Gil and I are business coaches, but best of all, we have our heavenly business coach. And that's where we can really get a lot of great stuff that really comes from out of nowhere because we wouldn't have thought about it, right? That's pretty cool.
Always good.
So, yeah. So again, Frequency of Your Desire Workshop is on Tuesday, spiritcenteredbusiness.com/desire workshop. And because you are on the webinar today, we're going to give it for $47, $50 off. And you just go to the spiritcenteredbusiness.com/desire-workshop-47. That is your secret to get that big discount. So there you have it. And I hope we get to see you on Tuesday. Hope we get to see you in the membership and on the calls. I am going to stop sharing my screen now. Does anyone have any questions about either what we taught today or about the workshop? Janet says yes. Awesome. Right on. We love you, Janet. Janet's from England. We're from not London, but I don't remember the name of the town. What town are you in, or city?
May take her
All
a while
right.
to respond. She's on the other side of the world.
I know, right? She's 8 hours.
Yorkshire.
I hope it doesn't take 8 hours for that response to get.
She says she's in Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. Okay. Or it's Yorkshire. Yorkshire. I don't know how you say it. I'm just making it up. All right. Well, we appreciate all. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Oh,
All right.
oh, wonderful. I'm so glad I could do it right for you. I can go into Monty Python, I guess. But anyway, so we appreciate all of you. And I know that we've got people from Kingdom Talks get to this training from New Zealand and Australia and all around the UK and Philippines and Thailand, and we're glad that you're here. So thank you so much, and we are looking forward to seeing you either on the membership, on the workshop, or on a future webinar. Thank you, guys.
All right. Blessings. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.